interestingly, in the last 24 hours, I believe he's gone on some podcast and said that he's lost his job since going on YouTube and telling millions of people he's proud to be a fascist. Sense of the room was one self-professed fascist, a bunch of other fascist sympathizers, fascist adjacent, white nationalists. Yeah, they weren't. I know it's easy to go, oh, well, all Trump supporters are Nazis, fascists, which isn't true, obviously. They do obviously have sympathies with the far right. That's why they vote for Trump. But what was interesting about these people is they were clearly more than just average members of these were people committed to the cause.
In today's video, Mehdi Hasan absolutely shocks Tim Miller with brutal facts on Mehdi Hasan's recent appearance on Jubilee. Mehdi Hasan reflects on the challenges of debating in that kind of environment, how he prepared for it, what surprised him during the conversation, and what he hopes viewers took away from it. Tim Miller offers his own perspective as someone who's been in similar spaces and shares how these formats shape public opinion. So let's dive in and watch how Mehdi Hasan shocks Tim Miller in this video about the Jubilee debate.
It became very clear to me, Tim, very early on. I went with 4 claims about crime, about the Constitution, about immigration, and about Gaza. They didn't give a fuck about 3 of them. They only cared about the immigration piece. That is what they were there for.
Yeah, and I kind of want to explore that a little more. I'm curious, though, because I did watch the part of the video with the undocumented guy. I wanted a little postscript of that. Did it feel like maybe this was an eye-opening moment for him to realize that he was in league with this group?
Yeah.
I don't. Was
felt
it,
like it felt a bit. I got a sense of that sitting across the table from him. I didn't talk to any of them afterwards. I got the hell out of Dodge. But
okay. No, you didn't have. You didn't have a glass of tea with the.
I didn't know. But to quote Donald Trump on Ghislaine Maxwell, I wish him well.
Wish him well. Yeah, same. Your point about the immigration thing. Obviously, that is the animating issue of the group. But to me, the thing that why this was, I hope, eye-opening to people, because I think that there is like this notion of that still persists somehow, even if Donald Trump has won twice. Like, there's these like kind of extreme corners or whatever, and they're not that representative, but like they're overrepresented online. And it's like, well, I don't know about that.
Yep.
I think that like that immigration is extremely animating among, if you go to just a Turning Point USA event or a Charlie Kirk event, like that is an animating issue. It matters. After the clip I shared yesterday, a friend of mine texted and said that there's a son or nephew like also cited Carl Schmitt recently. Like this stuff gets into the ether. These guys who are all debating you are now posting online. So I'm seeing their accounts. They have huge followings. They're followed by elected officials, prominent Republicans, right? And it's not like
I think this guy I think is followed. The guy we just saw a clip of who claims to have lost his job, Connor the fascist. I believe he's followed by one of the candidates for Texas AG.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess my point is, I don't know. Did you come away? And obviously, there's the experience of being in the room, but like just about the broader project, did you come away a little bit more alarmed about like the degree to which Stephen Millerism, if you will, has really kind of infected like a pretty significant portion of the young right?
It's interesting you mentioned Stephen Millerism because this was filmed in LA. And I remind people this was not filmed in the Deep South. This was filmed in LA. A little bit alarmed is an understatement. I came away pretty stunned. And it takes a lot to make me speechless, Tim. Many people who know me know it takes a lot for me not to have anything to say. And I remember just leaving there with a producer of mine and with the security guard who came with me, who's also a friend of mine, who provided security. And he turned to me and he said, that was not a TV recording. That felt more like a low-key KKK rally. And I think this is the thing now. This is the masks off, hoods on moment that we're living through right now, where a lot of these people thought this stuff 10 years, 15 years ago, but they wouldn't have had the guts to come on YouTube and say it. They wouldn't have the guts to, this guy's lost his job and he's surprised by it. But many of the rest of them are not going to lose their jobs, right?
Mehdi Hasan describes walking into that debate expecting pushback, but what he encountered was far more extreme than a difference in opinion. These weren't just garden variety Trump supporters parroting Fox News talking points. As Mehdi Hasan puts it, many of them were open fascist sympathizers, even self-proclaimed fascists with sizable online followings. openly referencing white nationalist thinkers like Carl Schmitt, people who had clearly done the ideological homework to justify some pretty disturbing positions. What makes this all the more alarming is how normalized it's become. Mehdi Hasan rightly points out that this wasn't filmed in Alabama or Idaho, it was Los Angeles, and yet the rhetoric in that room, as he tells it, was more low-key KKK rally than debate stage. One guy literally went on a podcast the day after and said he'd lost his job for saying publicly he was proud to be a fascist, and was shocked that this might be a problem. It's almost cartoonish, except it's not. It's terrifyingly real. What's especially revealing is Mehdi Hasan's observation that of the 4 topics he brought into the room, crime, the Constitution, immigration, and Gaza, only one truly animated his opponents: immigration. And that's telling. It aligns with years of data showing that anti-immigrant sentiment has become the defining pillar of the MAGA right. According to a 2023 Pew study, immigration now ranks as the top issue among Republican voters, more than the economy or healthcare. And this isn't just bluster, it's reflected in policy proposals like mass deportations and ending birthright citizenship, which were fringe ideas a decade ago and are now part of the mainstream GOP conversation.
Okay,
and he's going to do fine. He's going to raise money.
He's going to do fine. But the rest of them who said crazy shit, there was a white genocide guy. There was a great replacement guy. There was all the hits. It was all the far right hits. And, you and I follow this stuff closely so we can identify it from far up. Like for me, the minute he said, I'm being replaced, I understood. All right, replaced, tick. Okay. These are not ordinary people just expressing legitimate concern about the wages brought down by migrant labor from South America. These are people who are ideologically committed, as you say, to Stephen Millerism, to Carl Schmitt, to Great Replacement, to General Franco. I mean, I have debated and talked with a lot of far right freaks over the years, but that's the first time I've had it in the live in the field example of we need a General Franco for the United States.
This is why I get to play the former conservative role here, Mehdi. One of the big splits between William F. Buckley and now I'm blanking on the guy's name. His kid ended up running a media watchdog group. It'll come to me. Was over Franco. Like it was back then, the original National Review days. There was like a split over a pro Franco faction and kind of like a soft Franco faction. So it doesn't come from nowhere. I want to say I've been watching some of their follow-ups, which I think is as alarming as the actual exchange. I'm sure you've seen some of the stuff online. You see this one, a guy who's at Chaotic Hermes, he posted a picture of himself, and he said, I didn't go up during Jubilee because Hasan smelled like shit. Did you see that one? Several other guys have.
I can't reveal what happened in terms of the taping and editing, but that's fundamentally untrue, what he just said there. Not just the insult, but what he said about what happened at the filming.
Got it.
He was a super racist dude.
So there was racist shit that didn't make the cut.
I can't comment on the.
Oh yeah, you can't.
You'd have to ask Jubilee.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Jubilee. Okay, sorry, I don't want to get you in trouble there. There's enough racist shit on what made the cut that doesn't really matter. I guess is one question.
From the start, Mehdi Hasan makes clear this wasn't just a room full of edgy conservatives or your average Trump voters. This was something else entirely. People openly using Great Replacement rhetoric, invoking Franco, and dropping white genocide talking points like it was a Reddit thread circa 2016. For Mehdi Hasan, who's debated all kinds of right-wing figures over the years, this was a new level of blatant extremism. As he put it, hearing someone openly advocate for an American General Franco was a first. And it says something that this happened on a show designed to showcase civil discourse. The wildest part? Mehdi Hasan's not exaggerating. A 2022 study from the ADL Center on Extremism found a sharp rise in white nationalist content being normalized on mainstream platforms, often dressed up as legitimate political debate. And post-Jubilee, some of these same guests have been online mocking Mehdi Hasan, making racist remarks and spreading disinfo about the taping. One guy claimed Mehdi Hasan smelled bad to justify why he didn't debate him, which is both juvenile and obviously false. Mehdi Hasan, understandably, can't get into production details, but he makes it clear. If the parts that did make it into the episode were alarming, the stuff that didn't might have been even worse. What really stands out in Mehdi Hasan's perspective is his clarity about what this all signals. We're in a moment where the masks are off. 10 years ago, most people wouldn't dare say these things on camera. Now some feel emboldened to go on YouTube and call themselves fascists and even expect applause for it.
And look, I've been torn on this stuff. Look, I'm on the left, Tim. The left has a very strong no platforming of fascist principle. I operated in the UK. I've operated in the US. There are many interesting people I've not had on Zeteo who I could easily have and get lots of clicks from simply because I just don't want to platform a far-right fascist. So for me, it was a very eye-opening moment where I kind of said, I don't want to debate you, Connor, because you're a fascist. You've just told me you're a fascist. We've got to wrap this up now. But what was interesting is, obviously, on the left, there's been a lot of criticism. If you go on Blue Sky, for example, a lot of liberals upset with me for participating. And I get it. Look, I'm torn on this. There is a school of thought that says
there are people upset at you for participating.
Yeah, I think I think there are two views, right, Tim? There is one school of thought on the liberal left which says you cannot platform these people because no matter how much you beat them up, no matter how much you mock them or humiliate them or make fools of them, they make content out of this. They move the Overton window. They launder their far-right views in front of a mainstream audience, right? I believe that is a legitimate argument, it's something I sympathize with myself. On the other hand, the counter-argument is these people are out there. They exist. Jubilee is a massive platform. Whether I take part in it or not is getting tens of millions of views. Maybe it's time to show up and mock these people and point out what freaks they are. So I get both sides of the argument. I do believe they are two legitimate views on that debate. And I'm torn on it because you said, look at their accounts right now. The guy with the baseball cap who told me to get out, who pretended he was an economist, like he's loving this moment. You go look at his social feed. His friends are like, you owned Mehdi, you won that thing. And the algorithm allows you, as you and I both know, to live in your own little bubble and be reinforced in your own wrongness.
Yeah, and it is wild. Like, I mean, some of these people, like the guy you're referencing, you had this fight over immigration, and his, like, the key argument he had was that wages dropped like 0.5% for Americans if you look at the certain studies. And like there are posts I've seen of like him being like, I owned Mehdi over this with 11,000 likes. So I guess I do understand that. I guess my question is, I don't know that the answer is letting it foment. And I guess I do think this is a legitimate question. I saw JVL and I were talking about yesterday. I'm wondering what your thought is. I mean, like, what is a realistic effort for de-radicalizing? Like, it probably isn't you, to be honest, right? Like a brown immigrant, like debating them in Oxford style.
Brown Muslim immigrant journalist. I tick all the boxes.
Yeah, probably not going to be the person that wins them over, but I don't know. And like, probably the guy that like is citing Carl Schmitt is not going to be de-radicalized, right? But the people consuming this, right? Like, this is the thing that I worry about. And I do think it's very different. Like, I just look back to being a young Republican, age 17, who would sometimes do contrarian stuff that was outlandish or whatever to get attention. I'm guilty. I did it. But like, it would have been hard for me even to find ideas like this, right? Like, you're literally like, I'm going to go through the library and start looking for Nazi, philosophers. Like, it would have been hard to find people who are like, yeah, America should actually be a Catholic autocracy. Right? Like that just wasn't in the dialogue, right? And so that stuff is a way of seeping in. And I mean, I feel like engaging with it and trying to demonstrate its absurdity is as good of an idea as any, but I don't know. Maybe that is wrong. I'm genuinely perplexed by the challenge.
No, I agree with you. It's really difficult. I've tried to have this. Look, take election denial, Tim, right? I was one of these people who said I will not have election denials on my show at MSNBC since I joined Zeteo. Like, that was a principle. But then 2024 came along, and you kind of have to drop that a bit because, like, that's the entire Republican body. Oh, you're not going to be able to interview a Republican.
From Mehdi Hasan's side, you can tell this wasn't an easy call. As someone firmly on the left, he's been a long-time believer in not platforming fascists and he's walked the walk, refusing to host known extremists even when it might have earned him more views. But Jubilee's format threw him into a real dilemma. Do you show up knowing these people will twist the footage into their own victory lap, or do you stay away and leave the space uncontested for far-right talking points to go unchallenged? It's a legitimate debate on the left. Mehdi Hasan breaks it down with humility. Some say showing up only amplifies these voices and moves the Overton window to the right. Others argue that these people already have big platforms and someone needs to confront them head on. Mehdi Hasan chose the latter this time, and he doesn't pretend it was a slam dunk. He calls the experience what it was: surreal, alarming, and honestly kind of bleak. When someone tells you to your face they're a fascist, it stops being a philosophical argument. It becomes real, fast. Tim Miller raises another important point here. It's not just about the people Mehdi Hasan was sitting across from. It's about the audience. Far-right ideas used to be relegated to dark internet corners or fringe signs. Now they're promoted to kids on YouTube and TikTok. Some of the people Mehdi Hasan even debated now have massive followings and are being retweeted by Republican politicians. The pipeline is fast and it's slick. One of the key takeaways from Mehdi's reflections is that he's not under the illusion that he's going to de-radicalize a self-proclaimed fascist on camera. He knows he's not the person that hardcore extremists will suddenly agree with. He's a brown Muslim journalist after all. But maybe, just maybe, there's value in confronting these ideologies publicly for the sake of the watchers, especially younger ones who might be flirting with this kind of rhetoric.
Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center, are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out Ground News in the description down below.